So then, we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Israelic lineage. So then, we can understand the time of the end as per Yeshayahu the prophet. We find layers of understanding of the spring feast, the autumn feast, and also the returning of the cities of the Messiah laid waste from many centuries. As then we read Yeshayahu the prophet, it's always important making a very strong portion of layers related then with the time of the end concerning then the merchants of the earth. As the news then are giving us a bit of a detour as far as the new system of trade, we can truly realize the importance of understanding the role of China, the factory of the world, based on East, and then the nations obviously preparing themselves, preparing their infrastructuring in order to receive this new trade system. So then, as we read the Holy Instructions or the Bible, many people sometimes they neglect the understanding of prophecy related with the Torah. Well, every scrap of instructions as far as the Bible, whatsoever is related with Abraham, Isaac, or Yaakov, and related with the patriarchs, and an understanding of the vine. Every situation related with the prophets and related with prophecies are from the lineage of Hebrews. So then, from this perspective, we can certainly understand the importance of learning the culture, learning Hebrew, learning and discerning what then Ruach HaKodesh, known as the Holy Spirit, based from the holy instructions of the Hebrews in Hebrew, and then interpret properly what the prophets already had explained. So then, we are talking of an interpretation already given many centuries ago. It's not a new interpretation. It is what the prophets told many years ago. As we read then Yeshayahu the prophet, let's then understand what the world is trying to deceive, what the world is trying to do, as far as maintaining the new trade system in a way where people they don't understand or they don't perceive. So then we understand China is obviously the leading in this new system. Let's try to understand how it's going to take place as far as being a worldwide. Where do we find in the Holy Instructions? Where do we find in the Torah? Where do we find in the prophets related with the new system? Well, then a portion of it in Yeshayahu, let's say for instance, on the 23rd chapter of Yeshayahu, we find then the divine himself, the eternal, explaining his plan for the time of the restoration period. So then, if you are a person that you are never involved with the holy instructions, the Torah, the understanding of Hebrew, the understanding then of the acts of Ruach HaKodesh, if you don't understand, for instance, Revelation, then truly you are not saved. Because the implication is this: salvation means Galah, in what we are trying to understand at these end of times. So salvation is the knowledge of revelation. If you are a revealed person, you are a saved person. That's why then Revelation says it what it means, and it means what it says. So then, salvation, and then Galah. The Messiah, he came and he gave the instructions. The Messiah, he came and He then directed us. So then we would become revealed. So truly salvation is a great portion of it related with understanding the future prophecies. So let's then understand what Yirmiyahu is saying. Daniel, particularly, he was very involved with the layer of Gentiles. He said at the end of times, it's coming, a portion of history where knowledge would increase. And by thunder, he was right. So then, when we read Yirmiyahu and we read Daniel, you find then a particular reference of a layer related with the time of the end. These lines or these layers are not inclusive in every situation. However, when Daniel said that knowledge would increase was for the purposes of trade. This is the main objective, because you have then a situation linking up and layering up with Yirmiyahu, the 23rd chapter. Now try to understand, Daniel 12 means nothing in Hebrew, and the 23rd chapter also means nothing in Hebrew. What I have to understand is what then the divine himself, the eternal, is saying as far as a particular layer related with his holy feasts. Now if you are never exposed Vayikra or then Leviticus, then you don't understand. Because those who are chosen are those people who are revealed. And the world, unfortunately, have no desire of understanding the scriptures for what they are. Because the world, they want to put in the minds of the people what they wish for the future, not truly what the prophets said. So then, 23rd chapter of Yirmiyahu the prophet. What does it say as far as the 9th verse of the 23rd chapter? Then the Eternal of hosts has purposed it to stain the pride of every nation on the earth. Now what is he saying this? Prior of this verse number 9, what does he say? He's talking about the merchants. He's talking about the ships of Tarshish. So then if you make a bit of a research, these people were related with trade, sea trade. They were very prominent during their time. They had port, and they constructed ports, for instance, in many sections of the known world of the time. So then, the prophecy itself is related with a period of time. What they were doing back then, as far as what they planned for the future, is precisely then what the Creator himself, or then the divine, the eternal, has then purposed for the future and reflected what then it is taking place during this time of the restoration, meaning the restoration of the cities of the Mashiach that was laid waste for many centuries, from the 61st chapter of Yirmiyahu. Couple of layers we are speaking of. These are represented then, for instance, Ezekiel, the contemporary of Daniel, was mostly related with the tabernacle, with the temple. So if you want to know the lineage of Yitzhak, you understand then Ezekiel. It was not 100% only tabernacling, but it was mostly tabernacling. Then Daniel related with the Gentiles. And these Gentiles then would understand what then the plan for the trade of the future would take place. So then, why then the divine himself is going to put to shame the governments of these generation? Because most of them are thieves. They are liars, they are scoundrels, they lie, they cheat, they falsify. And coming a time where not only the people had enough, but then the Eternal is also obviously had enough. So then when Daniel was explaining as far as the new trade system related with this knowledge that would increase, He's making a system very exacting, so then the system is not going to teach you. In other words, they're not going to rob from you. The system itself, because of its exacting nature, won't let others to steal from you. This has a direct understanding of the character of the Eternal, because he doesn't steal from any person. So then, China is coming up with a new system. We understand, obviously, that there is the virtual money system, and the objective of China is linking up every desktop computer, every laptop that is banking linked up with the Bank of China. This would be the most profitable thing to do ever, because the system is coming from the East. That's why then later on, because of this prominency, you find then the kingdom of the East coming towards the West. And you find then in Daniel 11, and particularly Daniel 10, explains a lot as far as the role of China when we understand the reflected portion of the prophecy. So then, what is taking place as far as the 23rd chapter of Yeshayahu? Then you understand the Creator himself, the divine or the eternal. He is going to put to shame the dirty schemes of these governments of this world. So then, since we understand a section of these, what would be then the question of asking as far as the restoration of the golden turban found in the 62nd chapter of Yeshayahu? We have to ask ourselves, what truly means the golden turban? So then, if you don't understand the Eastern culture, then as far as trade, the beauty of the presence of the Eternal is reflected when a person does things honestly. So restoring then the golden turban is speaking of honesty while doing trade. It speaks of the restoration of the sons of Ishmael, because Ishmael was then the son of trade. You find these during the time that Joseph was then sold into slavery, and he went to Egypt, and he was sold to an Ishmaelite caravan. So they were already very prominent during the time of Joseph. So when you start understanding what the Eastern culture then is bringing back these understandings, and understand then the trade of the end, and understand how then China is going to lead this new system. The system, obviously, it is already uploaded. It's only waiting for the proper time then to launch the system, and then people linking up in the net, and then start doing trade via computer. So the question is, who are these new leaders of the world? Well, those are the freighters of the earth. Where do we find these answer very precisely? You'll find them obviously in Galah. Galah means revelation, the 8th chapter. And then 10 chapters later, from the 8th, you'll find them again in the merchants of the earth. The merchants of the earth. The merchants of the earth. Then you understand when he was speaking of the 23rd chapter of Yeshayahu, truly these ships of Tarshish, they would be compared, let's say, with FedEx or UPS or DHL or some marine company. So then we are explaining situations related then as far as the viewpoint of Yeshayahu in a clean way. These companies that were related with the holy nation were then prospering beyond measure. So then these freighters of the earth are then the new leaders of this period of time. So then, the main situation is, why then the merchants of the earth are going to become so prominent? As per the instructions, they are very clear. You find Yeshayahu, Yirmiyahu, you find sections of Daniel, and then Galah. Because the governments of the earth, once they start dealing with virtual monetary systems chosen by the customer, they have to charge taxes. And obviously these taxes, when you are dealing with the foreign money, they have to have rules and regulations as far as how to tax. However, if there is a monetary system not related with central banks, you can't come up with rules to charge taxes. And even if you do, how are you going to track it? So the reason why the freighters of the earth are going to become prominent is because of the data they are generating. And the governments, they have no way of linking up their system and come up with a system of their own based from tracking packages. So taxation during this period of the restoration of the holy cities of the Mashiach, primarily because of tabernacling, and then the golden turban of the Ishmaelites. Then you understand the importance of these freighters as then the foundation of the new set of rules of government taxation. So then, because of these, what then the people are involving themselves with? Obviously, more and more people are buying from the internet. And this obviously is going to generate more confidence, because the people they get for the price they observe and they are not stolen from. Next time we're going to evaluate these even more when tabernacling is involved with this. And then let's understand the relationship of tabernacling and then the new system. Because here Yeshayahu the prophet has a whole lot more to explain, and try to understand we are then in a day or two from Rosh Chodesh. That's the new year related with the holy instructions. So then the absolute counting of time as per the instructions found in your Bible, even though you don't understand it, but it's there. The new year is coming up, Rosh Chodesh, and then when it does, based from the lunar view and the maturity of barley that's already matured in the holy nation, so we are only awaiting for the first sliver of the lunar view, and then 10 and plus 4 days is then the Pesach. So then let's study more, so then we become more acquainted with the times and the seasons set by the Eternal Himself. So please stay tuned, much more coming up.